Can we live without suffering?
Yes, you can live without suffering, but you have to learn how. There's a saying that ignorance is suffering, and that's true, because if you don't know how to end the negative repeating patterns that you continually attract to yourself that are causing you to feel bad inside, you're not going to be able to live without suffering. I think there are a lot of different definitions of suffering. So let me tell you mine so you can ponder it. And maybe you'll agree, maybe you won't, but let me share my definition with you. For me, suffering is when you keep experiencing the same negative patterns or negative experiences in different shapes and forms over and over again, and you can't make it stop. For example, I knew someone who every single person that she dated beat her up. No matter who she dated, the guy always beat her up or almost did. That was a repeating pattern in her life. Until she learns how to end these repeating patterns, she's going to keep going through that form of suffering. And the reality is there's many, many, many forms of suffering I can give you. Think about the person who struggles financially no matter how many courses they take or how many trainings on real estate investing and stock trading that they go through. They always end up with the same financial situation. They're suffering financially, and financial suffering is horrible. Well, until you learn how to remove the real causes of these patterns, which is in the unconscious mind, you're going to continue those patterns. So to me, that's what suffering is the repeated, ongoing negative patterns that you can't stop and you feel trapped inside of. And so therefore, to end suffering means to erase these patterns one by one until there are none left. And what happens when you learn how to erase the repeating negative patterns that cause suffering is that little by little, your life begins to look more like how you dream it to be. If you think of your life as having different areas, maybe there's 8 areas, for example, from a coaching program I took. I modified it a little bit, but basically the idea is maybe you have the health area, the romantic relationship area, the friends and family area of your life, the finances area of your life, the career area. And they are different because you can have lots of money and hate your job, or you can have no money but love what you do. And so there's the finances, and then there's the career area. There's fun and play and travel. There's personal development, and then I added in my own, which is spirituality. So if you think about these 8 areas of life being like a big painting, some areas of your life might have a very beautiful looking picture. You love that area of your life. But other areas of your life might have mud on the painting, which will make you feel like you're suffering in that area of life. Okay, I have a friend who says if he wants to make money, all he has to do is think about making money, and people start contacting him to do work for them. He's a great artist and designer. But as soon as he gets tired of working and doesn't want to work anymore, he just says, I don't want to get any more business, and no one contacts him. Just as simple as changing his thought. And as soon as he feels like working again, he starts getting text messages, emails, and phone calls with invitations to do work and make more money. He has no problem changing the thermostat in that area of life because there's no mud on the painting in his life in the area of career or finances, really. Not much, not enough that it's interfering with his happiness. But in the area of relationships, no matter how hard he tries, he always ends up with the same negative pattern. He's learned to paint around the mud and be happy in spite of the fact that he can't get exactly what he might have wanted because the pattern is so insipid. It's difficult. It's hard to get rid of. It's caked on mud on the painting. So when you learn how to remove these patterns, it's like scraping mud off the painting. Now there might be 20 old layers of mud on any given portion of the painting. So you got to scrape and scrape and scrape through all the layers until you finally get down to that clean white canvas where it's just blank. And now you can paint what you intend consciously and have it show up for you. And that's when you end your suffering in that area of life. And so then the real key to ending your suffering is to scrape the mud off the painting of your life in every single area until there's nothing left but your conscious desires. Now, I know that your reaction might be, that sounds too good to be true. It's not too good to be true because it's your inevitable fate as a soul. The problem is that it's also a lot of hard work. I'm talking about sweat scraping off the mud. And here's the big problem is that most people don't have any tools at all to scrape off the mud. They are literally trapped with their painting being the way it is. And so they cannot end their suffering, and they might even believe that they can't end their suffering, which of course will trap them into not even learning how to do it. You have to learn the tools and how to use them, just like an artist has to learn how to use their tools. When Michelangelo created the statue of David, he used various tools. And when people asked him, how did you create the statue of David? He said, I didn't. God created the statue of David. I just removed the stone that was on top of him. And so you need to learn the tools to scrape the mud off the painting of your life, or remove the stones that are on top of you that are attracting to you the experiences that you have that you would call suffering, the painful experiences. You're going to need various tools. You can't just have a chisel or a hammer. And again, let me go back and say, most people have no tools at all. They have no way to remove anything permanently. And if it's not permanent, what is the point? If you talk about how you feel, you'll feel better today, but tomorrow when you look, the mud will still be there on the painting of your life. What I mean is that negative feeling that you release by talking about it will be back as soon as you think about the problem. And so it's not really getting rid of it, it's just clearing it out of your space for now, or getting it out of your mind for now, but it's still there in the unconscious. It's still programmed in you. It's still part of your being. So you've got to have tools that are permanent, that remove this stuff. Now, there are some tools out there that are permanent that are very, very, very slow. One of my students is a yoga master, and she teaches breathing, which is super important for being healthy, and it can release negative emotions. So she told our audience recently that she teaches people how to do these amazing breathing exercises by video, which I just think is fantastic. Thank God for the technology, right? That we can even be together right now. And she said in her last session with someone, they asked if this breathing could remove her anxiety. And my student told her, yes, this breathing technique can remove your anxiety, but it'll take about 20 years. Or we could remove it in 20 minutes with the 7 steps to reprogramming yourself. That's why I like to say it's the fastest and easiest tool, plus most importantly, you can do it yourself. Some of the other tools that are out there require someone else to do it for you. Also, many of the tools that are out there don't address the actual words or thoughts in your mind, which is really what's creating reality. If you think of reality as being a whole bunch of energy structured into a physical or specific shape, the structure is in the way that it is, or it is the way that it is because of the coding inside of the energy, which means the actual words, the actual intentions and thoughts that are inside the energy structure reality. So if you don't erase the actual words from your mind, you won't be able to shift your reality and therefore not change the pattern, which means the mud is still on your painting and that area of your life, and your suffering is still going to be the same. Isn't that crazy? Now, a really common question I get is, well, how do you know if it really worked or not? It's very easy. You think about something that triggers your negative emotion and negative thoughts inside of you. And here's how we can tie it directly to your suffering. Think about an area of life that you're suffering in, where you feel terrible, where it's not going the way you want. Maybe it's finances, health, relationships. Think about an area of life like that, where you feel like you're suffering. How does it make you feel when you think about what's happening? Those negative emotions inside of you that you feel right now when you think about what's happening, those were already there first, causing the suffering. The circumstances are just bringing those emotions to the surface. You know that your tools worked when you can think about the thing that used to be causing your suffering, and you don't feel any negative emotion anymore at all. The next day, the next week, the next month, it never comes back. That's how you know that what you're doing actually worked permanently. And when you apply that test to almost every tool out there that supposedly reprograms your unconscious mind, you're going to find that it doesn't do that at all. And that the people who are saying they're reprogramming the unconscious mind don't actually know how to do it. They think they do, but when you test in the way I just showed you to test, you'll find that it doesn't pass the test. And therefore your suffering doesn't end, which is why people want to know, is it even possible to end your suffering? I've taken every seminar, I've done everything, and I still have the same issues. So maybe there's just no way, I'm just going to have to live this way forever. No, there is a way. There is a way now. A fast, easy way. And yet still, it might take you years of hard work with the fastest methods possible to clean out your entire painting, meaning ending all of your suffering. That's a big job when you think about it. It's a big, big job. And so the answer is, of course you can, but you have to learn how. You have to overcome ignorance and become educated in the human design, the human mind, why things are created the way they're created, so you can uncreate all the negative patterns that cause suffering. Now, if you want to learn how to do that, you'll need to take my course, The 7 Steps to Reprogramming Yourself, as your beginning, because it's only the first tool of 4 major tools you need to learn. But it's the most powerful one, and you're going to get the most mud off the fastest. And at some point, you're going to hit a layer where you're going to say, I need a different tool. And that's when you'll go to the next tool. That's why we have 4 of them. With these 4 major tools of transformation, you can basically, for almost every person, get all the mud off your painting. So yes, you can. There's a link below that'll take you on a journey to learn more about the 7 steps to reprogramming yourself. And then that way you can just find out if you're ready, because not everyone's ready to end their suffering. My name's Arnoux Goran. I would love for you to subscribe to my channel and leave some comments. I'll see you soon.